allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Ackerman, roll call, please.
Mr. Stahl.
Here.
Mrs. Reed. Here. Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Here.
Mr. Trombley.
Here.
Dr. Krebs. Here. Mr. Birchfield.
Here. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented? Supported by Mr. Stahl, supported by Mr. Trombley. Any discussion?
I have an addition. I'd like to add as item, should this be item J for future action, or are we just going to action? Okay, so we're going to go for item E for action. The approval of the local property tax information, the L4029.
Do we have any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes 7-0, and we'll get that added as item E for action. All right, Shining Star, Dr. Gray.
Yeah, tonight we have a bunch of dogs here from our therapy program, and I'm privileged to introduce Karen's story tonight to talk a little bit about our VAS pack of dogs.
I just wanted to, Dr. Gray and I were just talking about those that have provided services for our dogs, our veterinary services, and then our grooming. So we have a few of our vets here tonight, but I just wanted to update you guys. We have Dr. Everly, and she's actually up here in the district. She provides services for Allie, Oliver, and Keeper. And then Dr. McCormick, who's a local Brighton resident. She provides services for Martha and one of our pups, Jack, who's in training. And then we have Cedar Creek Veterinary Animal Hospital, who provides services for Shadow, Buckley, and Henry. And then Arbor Hills, owned by Mark Wilson and his wife. They do the services for Ford, who's over at Scranton. And then Woodland Animal Hospital here in Brighton provides services for Scout. And then we have Brighton Animal Hospital, who provides for, right now, Frank and Caesar. And we're moving some things around with that. And then we have Kim from Scruffy to Fluffy, who provides all of our grooming services. So we just wanted to say thank you for all of your support with our program. We have a total of 12 dogs, so we're very appreciative of all that you guys have done for us. We couldn't do this without you guys, so we just wanted to say thank you for all your support. And then the last piece is we have one of our dogs, Henry, who just started today over at Totspot. Back in October, when we received Henry as a donation from one of our breeders, the big thing the kids wanted to do was do a big contest of naming the dog. So we had a large amount of kids show up, and the favorite name was Henry, and it is named after Henry Becky. So just all his years of service, but the kids were behind this, which I thought was really cool. And this was 100% about the kids, and they felt like, you know, we want to give this tribute to Mr. Vecchione. So thank you for all you've done. Yeah, that's it.
Anybody can go back where I leave, okay?
Does Henry go, do you go in dog years?
As much hair as when Henry started.
Yeah, I never had this material until I was 18 at that point. I'm saying, how do you do that? You can.
So yeah, so thank you. We just, like I said, just wanted to put a face to the name, and a few of them are here, so if you don't mind, come on up, and we have a little certificate for you.
remember Caesar from when you started the pilot program.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
We saw this, yep. And even though we've been purchased by VCA now, we're still almost all the same doctors, except for Dr. Lawrence has retired. Dr. Aubrey's still there, and most all the staff is still there, and we wanted to do something for the community. Still, you know, we're not any different than we were before, really. So we're willing to actually do at least 7 of the care clubs, which we call it, which is all the preventive care that they need, and all the vaccines and all the a good blood panel and preventive care. So I was glad to be able to talk to Karen. One of my friends teaches at Spencer and told me about all the good things that Buckley does in the classroom. So I was so excited to be able to get involved, because as my children, we used to be very involved, but my youngest is 33, so we kind of got, you know, we're lost a little touch with the school system now, but I'm so glad they're doing this with all of that. So thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
This will bring us to our call to the public for this evening. If anyone wishes to address the board, please feel free to step to the podium, state your name, address, and we ask that you limit comments to 3 minutes. All right, that'll close call to the public, and that'll move us to our superintendent report. Dr. Gray, student representative.
Yeah, before we actually get to Brooke, I'm going to give her a second. A couple of other things. Well, actually, Brooke, go ahead first, and then we'll do the next. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to first say, I saw Keeper the other day. We were AP testing at St. Pat's, and just seeing Miss Bryce Tellner, and you could see everybody, all the kids as they were coming in. Seriously, she did make a difference. And everybody, we were all stressed out, we were all freaking out when we saw Keeper, and we all calmed down. So it was really sweet to do that. But yeah, AP testing is in full swing right now, so is that loud tonight? AP testing is in full swing right now. It was all last week, all this week, so our students are busy studying, taking those tests, and hopefully getting that college credit. And then next week is seniors' last week of school, and also senior survivor week. So yeah, if you, businesses, we're looking for more volunteers, more help, and where you can donate. I know they're donating meals, they're donating money, gifts, we have raffles going on, all sorts of stuff. So yes, that is next Monday through Friday, and we're just really trying to raise as much money as we can for such a great cause. Yeah, and that's kind of all I got for you guys. 9 days left of school. It's been good, it's been fun.
You're not counting either, clearly.
No.
The 2 other things that I had before we get to the curriculum update. One, I just found out the other day, Officer Parks actually was just recently promoted. So next year we'll be having a new police liaison at the high school. There'll be a process that we typically go through, but he's been elevated to the rank of sergeant, well deserving, and I was telling Ms. Mitchell earlier tonight that the last 3 that have left us have gone on to be sergeants, so I feel like we're a good training ground. So thanks kids for training them up while they're there. And so congratulations, he's done a great job for us. He's still going to do the summer camp program that we had like last year, the leadership program, and then obviously in the fall he'll be heading on to bigger things. So the only other thing I have for tonight, and it's kind of a big deal. Maria and I were talking the other day. And we just found out that this year we will not have to borrow. So it's the first time, and we tracked back all the way to the mid-90s in terms of that, and in our peak, we borrowed almost $19 million to make it through the year financially. That was probably one of our biggest goals, I would say. 10 years ago when we got here, was to get to a point where our budget was financially stable enough to not have to borrow and pay that interest and pay those rates back. And this year we're going to make it. So that's a big win for us, big win for Dr. Gissinger and her department. We're pretty pleased. Like I said, we traced back as far as we could possibly go to Proposal A, and it was a bunch.
These are dialed in.
Yeah. They don't have to be close anymore. And then finally tonight in our curriculum update, I believe I see Courtney Lauer out there. I think she's presenting. And she's going to talk a little bit about what they did with their technology innovation rate. Courtney?
So we'll overkill it tonight. I'd like to introduce our next installment of the Technology Innovation Grant Report. Courtney Lauer, Media Specialist at Hilton.
All right, I'm excited to be here today, and I want to thank you all for allowing me to get this grant. Super exciting experience for our elementary school to be able to get 3D printers. And so we kind of, over the course of the last couple weeks, I've actually stepped it up and kind of got out of my comfort zone and got my students out of their comfort zone, and we were able to kind of collaborate within the curriculum and the STEAM curriculum and everything, and to be able to make these projects. And I'm super proud and so excited for the kids. And so this is a quick little video that kind of goes quickly through it. But what I had the students do is part of both 3rd and 4th grade science units. They talk about animals, animal adaptations. And what the students were tasked with is to, we first learned a little more about Tinkercad software and CAD computer-aided design software. And then once the project was kind of kicked off, they were, as a group, they were told they had to pick a habitat. And within their habitat, they had to brainstorm, okay, what are the adaptations, what do their animals need to survive, all of that. And so they had to get that all on paper before we even started. So then they were tasked with getting three different jobs within their groups. So there was a engineer that did a lot of the Tinkercad software. There was another designer, and they had to design a habitat. And then the third one was an editor and publisher, and they actually had to go and create and write about their animal. And so it's just been awesome to see the collaboration between the students and everybody. I asked them, I picked groups according to their strengths and what they felt they were, what they felt their strengths were. And so I'm just I'll share some of our cute little animals. You guys can just pass those around. I have some of the habitats over there. But it's just been, such an exciting project for my students, and I can't wait to step it up and do even more next year. So we've done a little bit throughout the year, but this was like, a major undertaking, and they just flew with it, and they're so excited to see their final projects. So it's been pretty fun. Thank you.
I have a question. So are these the what was printed from the 3D printers?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So they did the design work, and then they ran the 3D printers to create these objects.
Yes. So through the Tinkercad software, that's where they did these designs, and then we were able to, print them exactly how they designed them.
How long is this, is this an entire semester?
No, it's just been, the last, I would say 3 weeks we've been working on it. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I showed them the, as Tinkercad software, you think CAD software is going to be really hard, but the kids really, the ones that are excited about it. They really grasp the concept really easily, and they went with it. So, and then we have more of our artsy students. I have some of the models up there, but their habitats were amazing too, and so it's just
Age group, what is it?
yeah.
What's the age group?
Age group, I'm sorry, 3rd and 4th grade.
Third, fourth grade?
Yeah. Yeah, 3rd and 4th grade. And my 2nd graders and actually 1st graders are begging, so in the next couple weeks I have a small little project. I'm going to have them like write their name and make little, keychains if we get to it all. So, yeah, so it's just been a great experience. I started off the actual unit with a story about a bald eagle who his beak was actually shot, and so they actually created a 3D printed beak for him. And so the kids got to see that, and there's a book about it and everything, and so they were just so excited to be able to do their own. So,
Very cool.
thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Are those the habitats in the back?
Yes.
Just take a look when we come here.
Yeah. So this one's kind of a volcano with it. And then they got elaborate. So they love makerspace in the STEAM Center, and so this was an ocean. They're all over the STEAM Center right now. I just picked a few that I could get in a box. So this was more of a forest. And then this one, there's a little beaver here, and that's his beaver net. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you all for being able to, provide this experience for the kids too with the 3D printer.
Anything else, Dr. Gray? Nope. For action tonight, item A, regular meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2019. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Myers, supported by Mr. Stahl. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? And one abstention, so 6-0-1. Item B, donation therapy dog program. Dr. Gray.
We recommend that you accept with appreciation the donation of $5,500 from PepsiCo Corporation via the Farmer Family.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve? So moved. Supported by Mr. Trombley, supported by Mr. Myers. Any discussion? I get there. All those in favor accepting this donation of $5,500 from PepsiCo Corp. And via the Farmer Family with great gratitude and thanks. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. Item C, administrative staff resignations. Dr. Gray.
Again, these are tough ones because I've worked with these two for a long time, but we are allowing and recommending that Mr. Vecchione and Mr. Wilson retire from the district. Mr. Vecchione with 28 years and Mr. Wilson with 7. So, again, great appreciation for their service to the district. Can't be said enough, and I think the kids said it all, name of the dog after Henry, and I know the kids at Scranton feel the same. So, congratulations to them. I wish them well in whatever they do in the future, and I hope they enjoy their time here for years.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Reed, supported by Mr. Stahl. Any discussion?
I just want to say, Mr. Vecchione, this district owes you an immeasurable debt of gratitude. For all of your years of service, you've made a profound impact on many students for many years, and you will be greatly missed, for sure.
Thank you.
But we wish you the best.
This has had a great impact on me as well. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you for all your service. And Mr. Wilson is not here.
I thought that we wanted to reach out.
Yeah, can I say something?
Absolutely.
I'm thankful that you're going out with me.
I think I'm going up with your plan. That's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for staying around for us.
That's well.
Well, we certainly are going to miss both of these fantastic administrators for the district. And again, echoing what my colleagues and others have said, congratulations and best wishes in your retirement. I certainly am gonna see you. Are you gonna mow my lawn now? I mean, you're gonna have.
I
time.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, all right. No, it's with great gratitude also to the service that both you and Mr. Wilson have provided, and thank you. We're gonna miss you. So, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. All right, item C, administrative, item D, EHS handbook revision.
So we have Ms. Price down there coming up tonight. Mr. Vecchione passed the torch to her for the handbook revision
Standing behind it for support.
of BHS. The reason it's coming here for action tonight is because the copying of it at our vendor would be significantly higher if we didn't stick to this timeline. So I know Jennifer's going to talk to this. We have more handbook revisions coming from the other levels. Theirs is a little different printing cost, so that's why we have this. Jennifer Henry.
Hi there. So we have some revisions, which most of them are just trying to streamline the handbook, and also a couple things that we do need to change. You have them in your board packet. Some of the highlights on page 14, the guidelines for participation in co-curricular and athletic activities. We just want to divide that up. So we've got a section that says athletic activities, and reads pretty much as is, changing eligibility to athletic eligibility, and then we would like to change the co-curricular to extracurricular, and then utilize the they adhere and the bylaws adopted. So just really putting that into two different sections, dividing that up. Another highlight on page 20. The anti-bullying violence prevention, we would like to include including cyberbullying that occurs in school. You know, as we all know, cyberbullying is a problem, so we want to be sure that that's included. Page 24, under the criminal sexual conduct, to have the police referral be mandatory. Page 33, the matters pertaining to controlled substances. With the new laws that have passed back in December, we want to add using the various products, e-juice, cartridges, etc., because the paraphernalia and the things that the kids are using have expanded. And then page 34, we want to add sharing as far as the substances.
We're finding out that when the marijuana laws change, kids are bringing little dabs in versus selling them, they're just sharing them. So we're going to come, because they're sharing it just as serious as if they're selling the product.
And those are pretty much the highlights, but if you want to take a couple of minutes and ask us any questions, feel free.
Cyberbullying also is a recent law change, so that will reflect that.
Can I ask a question about page 20, the cyberbullying? That's only occurs at school then?
Yes. It's all, we actually adopted it last year, the board adopted the new law that Dr. Gray's mentioning. We have it under our bullying code of conduct, and we adopted, we kind of mimic this from other school districts because, again, we can only control what we control.
Right.
Yeah, if it's outside of school, we do refer to our police officer. We just can't deal with it from a school perspective. This is kind of covering the definition a couple pages earlier, if we want to be consistent.
Under the athletic eligibility, is that the only thing that's been added? Is maintaining of the grade point average?
That's current.
Okay, so what is, so you're changing out eligibility to athletic eligibility?
Yeah, that part bill there, they had like co-curricular, which is co-curricular is a whole different thing as part of a classroom. Extracurricular, we don't track grade because we can't. The programs are more fluid. They're in and out more, so we can't really track a grade point average. We wanted to just change, separate it, have grade point average with athletics and not grade point average with extracurricular. That makes sense.
Okay, so then I'm gonna go back to, and I think you know the discussion we've had prior, right? So is this similar to a band member, to other groups like that?
ban
have the
and
same type of language in there in regards to their grade point and that kind of?
No, Band and Choir are both co-curricular programs. So they are part of their grade in that class. So they follow our student handbook and they follow our classroom rules and expectations. The extracurricular would be our clubs. Okay. And some of those, we can't track a roster because the kids are in and out so much. So we can't track a grade point average for those students. They may come for a couple meetings and they may not come back for another 4 months. We want to keep those more open for kids and keep encouraging kids to attend. And so they generally do attract, a lot of our clubs attract some of our lower academic kids as well, because it's a place where the development belong. So we don't want GPA to impact that piece. Every other rule we have for athletics will come under co-curricular and extracurricular, except for that GPA piece.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Yep, okay, yep.
Under the page 33 changes that you referenced regarding the addition of the use of the products, e-juice, cartridges, etc., I don't have the particular context. Does it still address the distribution and/or sale of those same products as well? And it just was missing the inclusion of use of those products? I just want to make sure that obviously the handbook addresses the distribution or sale equally or perhaps even more so than the use.
Yeah, we've got use, sale, and or distribute.
That's the actual heading of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we just added those pieces to it under that heading.
Okay, perfect.
And we agree, Roger.
First offense, what is level 4?
Level 4, this came back from Dr. Gray was saying that some of the laws that changed back in 2017-18. You can't suspend and expel as a lot of former offenses. So we have to put like the nose in, so to speak. So level 4, I believe, is up to 10 days, up to 5 days for the first offense.
Oh, okay.
And parent notification.
And one other follow-up question on this topic. I know that I attended the meeting at the Brighton City Council and requested with Mr. Johnson and Dr. Gray the push to criminalize at the city level the sale of these products. I assume, of course, that the current handbook, based upon the current status, doesn't reflect the fact that it's not, as I understand it, there's been no adoption of that ordinance yet.
Yeah.
According
Go ahead.
Officer Parks, we met with the Safe Schools on Friday. Officer Parks says they're getting closer to that ordinance. Once that ordinance would come to play, we would add that to it.
Okay, that was my point.
Because state law and local law always supersedes.
Absolutely. But assuming that was on the horizon in the very near future, I would like to see them this further modified once that takes effect to account for.
So Gavin,
If
Jennifer.
it happens after year, we typically add an addendum, send it out to
Okay.
parents, and then reprint it in the file.
Yeah, we put a link on our website because when laws change mid-year, we can't do a whole
Right. Sure.
Yeah, but we are looking forward to Roger.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
I have a question on the disciplinary process section. In the Neola policies that we've got coming up for action tonight, there's a lot of revisions to match up with updates at the state level for due process and document retention. Have we taken a look at the student handbook and compared it to what we're going to be adopting at the board level to make sure we don't have additional changes we need to make to those disciplinary sections?
We did it when the law was changed in 1718 for us.
Okay.
We did all that.
So the things that we are about to adopt at the board level are already
It
reflected?
should already be reflected because everything in here, board policy, like local ordinance and state law, always supersedes it, and that's in our handbook.
Is there any gap between the way we express it today and the way we might want to express it after the board policies are adopted to make it easier and more transparent for the students that maybe aren't going to go looking through the board policies for
No,
information?
We get to that point of having to be that severe with consequences. We are always making sure they know what their rights are. I think we're okay. We've never had an issue with it.
Okay,
But again, we'll always revisit what that happens.
thank you.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's ever changing.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to approve? So moved. Moved by Mr. White, supported by Mr. Stahl. Any discussion or any further discussion, I should say? All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? 7-0. Last item is E, which is the L 4029. Dr. Gisling.
Yes, you have in front of you the 2019 tax rate request. We run this through for action. This is one and only item that we skip over for future as a courtesy to our taxing authorities so that they can have this in time to prepare their tax bills in a reasonable fashion. And there is nothing unusual about this year. We are levying our 18 mils of non-homestead and our 7.19 mils of debt on most of our property other than the ones that were transferred in after our 2012 vote. At the end of this year, all of our debt is coming off our books except for the ones that we've all been here to live through, which is the 12, 13, and 15 bond. Those are remaining debt, so that's good. And this is the second year in a row our property values are expanding beyond the rate of inflation. So we have to roll back that 18 mils. So if you look at that very first typed line under the boxes, it says voted operated. In 11-12, we voted in 18.4159 mils. So last year and this year, it rolled back a little bit based on the calculation of how much our property does have expanded beyond the rate of inflation. So something to keep in mind in the future, in about 3-4 years, we may have to renew a headly hedge on our non-homestead millage if it rolls under 18 mils. Because the way the state funds us is that we're collecting 18 mils whether you're levying it or not. So if this rolls under 18 mils, we are cutting ourselves short on our state aid.
You probably heard it called a headly override. And some of you weren't on the board. I think Bill might have been the only one on the board at the time we passed the 18 mil non-homestead. We passed that for 19 years. So we actually went for that right after we voted on the 2012 bond. And the reason we went, you might say 19 years, why would we go for 19? 20 is the cap. The reason we went for 19 is because it has to fall in an even year so you can have an election to re-go for it. So let's say you're unsuccessful, it gives you 3 more attempts before that falls off your books, which can happen because that's over $10 million of our revenue. So that should be good until 2030. 31, something like that?
2032.
2032. So just as an FYI.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
So,
Motion?
I'll second it.
Second? Okay. You got that, sir?
So what are we, I'm not sure what we're voting on.
So it's the L4029. It's a report that we have the board approve every year, and it's you're allowing the school district to levy taxes on our taxpayers. So the first one is 18 mils of non-homestead, which is the debt that is either commercial property or rental property, places people don't essentially live in. And the rest of it is all properties. We levy 7.19 mils on every piece of property in the district to pay the debt of the district. So one piece is for operating, one piece is for debt. The state meets us, with the 18 mils, they meet us halfway, not even halfway, but to make up our foundation allowance. So our foundation allowance is made of 18 mils of non-homestead taxes. The state fills in the difference to get to our minimum foundation allowance of $7,871. So the state doesn't care if we're not levying our whole 18 mils, they're only giving us so much. So if we're not levying those whole 18 mils, we're not going to get all the revenue that we should be getting.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion?
Just one quick question. I see for Genoa, we have three of the forms, whereas the other taxing authorities only have one.
Right, so Genoa Township has, I think, 5 parcels of property that were moved into the district after the 2012 vote. And they have a few pieces of property. The taxable values were around $110,000. That was moved in between the last vote and this past one. So the bulk of their property we're levying our whole mills on. Those 5 parcels, we're not levying any mills until the debt of their old district expires, which is a long time from now. I think like 24 or something like that. And then that other piece, we're just waiting for the debt of their old school district mills to expire before we can roll that into the full levy.
Those were houses as part of a neighborhood that petitioned,
It switched the boundary.
Right.
switched it. I think there were a couple in Pinckney and a couple in Howell that were tied to the backside of Oak Point.
That's what, I think that's what it is.
I think it was my second year here, because that would have been prior to the vote, second or third, and then the other ones came in.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? All right, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? Passes 7-0. And that will close for action, move us into for future action. Item A, construction manager. Dr. Gray.
This last week, we had our committee meeting, and at the committee meeting, the board's well aware, we interviewed 3 different companies for construction manager services. It was a long, very detailed process, and I'll kick it to Bill or Ken anytime they want. But we interviewed Aug Construction, Barton Mallow, and Clark Construction alphabetically, and then actually we'll be recommending Clark Construction as a construction management firm moving forward. I know Gary Steller is here from Clark tonight in case you have any specific questions about that particular company. There was also a piece of this, the technology portion, that we found great success last time with Barton Mallow, and I would even talk further with a couple of people within Barton Mallow, Paul Twigg and Brian Jesse, that we've also reached out to in terms of some services. We're just looking at how best to kind of put together that contract for those consulting fees. And then Tracy Taylor, a local vendor, kind of tied all our buildings together in terms of design. We'll also be asking the board to do a not to exceed type situation as we did in the last time.
I'd just like to say, I think the consensus was that they gave a better presentation and the fact that their local program in their package was on, and we decided that that would be the one we recommend to you. And also, like I said, the price was right too.
Total fees, they were the lowest.
We have at least 2 people I know that, the one lives right, I know, walks his kids to school. So that meant a lot to me to have a little bit.
I have a question. I apologize, I know we talked about this before, but I can't recall. Will the fee for the construction manager be something we pay for from bond dollars, or will we pay it
Bond
general?
dollars. If we don't pass it, they get nothing. And it's the same with the architects, and it's the same with the other firms. It's just the way they do business. We're glad. So, you know, it makes them hungry, it makes us hungry, you know, to get the factual information out there and educate people so they can make that informed vote.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
So we will get you.
Yeah, that'll be for action in the next meeting. Item B, Neola policies, volume 33, number 1, September 2018.
So this was the one that we had delayed a little bit. I think we kind of hit our stride with this committee in terms of running through the policy now. So in 2 weeks, we'll be recommending this rather large packet of policy. We went through some of the updates. You have the cheat sheets. There was a group of 6 of us that I think went through about 240 pages that night and loved every minute of it.
Yes,
So,
we did.
Lots of fun, and we'll be recommending it here shortly. It's a long packet because the changes that you'll see in it hit almost every single category from 1,000 all the way through 8,000. So it's structural changes to that language, so it comes back in the 1,000s, 2,000s, 3,000, and it goes all the way through. So that's why it's primary.
Great. I will not be doing a PowerPoint presentation, but the bulk of the changes are, as Dr. Gray said, repeated because there are new standards for due process on several of the hearings that the district runs, and new standards for record retention. That's the largest chunk of what's in there. There's some other stuff, but that's the biggest chunk. What the committee did to go through this was to compare compare the changes that Neola had proposed against what we already have in our board package. So we took a stack that was about like this and squashed it down to what you have in your package tonight, so that we were not presenting to the board the areas of policy that we've already adopted. So Neola was recommending that districts continue to have certain policies that we already have in place, so we're not asking you to reapprove them. We're skinning it down to just the stuff that actually changed.
Just as an FYI, Ms. Mitchell and I also met with Dr. Halleck last week. We went through our next round of stuff, policy that we'll be bringing back to this committee as well. So.
And he also said that he would be willing to meet our committee
Wonderful.
at an evening meeting
Okay.
if we wanted to do that instead of having Dr. Gray come in
Okay.
and tell us what the changes or recommendations. So I thought it was,
That would be good. Yeah.
I'd like to thank all of you as board members and as a committee for this. Seriously, it's a big task.
Yeah, absolutely. Echo it, and long overdue. And I think this hopefully sets a standard moving forward to,
The way we went through it last time was very effective. I mean, we had 6 of us around the table staring at them, asking questions of each other, and making sure that we understood what was the difference between what Neola put in front of us this time versus what we had already adopted. And it was short of having the legal red line that I really, really want. This was as close as we could get. So I thought it worked pretty well.
no, I think all of us on the board can say thank you.
You guys, thank you to everybody else on the committee that puts up with my hour-and-a-half long meetings that were only supposed to last an hour.
Okay. Anything else on that topic? Item C, LESA 2019-2020 budget. Dr. Gray.
Trying to get to it, but we'll be recommending here in a couple weeks the LESA budget. They did a presentation on the night of the retreat, or LCASP meeting, I guess is a better way to put it. And we'll be moving forward. We've had input at the administrative level on this. Dr. Gistinger works closely with Ms. Sigmund over there as well, and we feel comfortable with what they present.
Item D, Assistant Superintendent hire, Labor Relations and Personnel. Dr. Gray.
And I'm pleased to announce that Ms. Sharon Irvine accepted our offer to become the Assistant Superintendent for Labor Relations and Personnel effective July 1, 2019. Ms. Irvine came out of what I would consider a strong pool of candidates. Kind of wowed everybody in the room and wowed us in the second round as well. She comes from a actually larger district, but is looking to make a home here in the Brighton area, and we have a lot of amenities that I think attracted her and her family to this area. We're excited to have her, and we've been in pretty much constant contact since the acceptance on setting up shadow days and days to meet different people and kind of set up her new office and get ready for the start of the school year in July. So we'll be recommending her hire here in the next couple of weeks, and we're excited to be recommending. And really thank you to everybody that was on the 2 different teams, obviously, that worked through the process and sent us 3, I would say, very qualified candidates.
When's her last day of employment?
Well, it'll be June 3rd,
So that's,
and then she comes July.
yeah, okay.
So, did you have a question?
Will we meet her then, when you're recommending her?
I think she's going to come to the one for action. You know, she's still employed in this role in another district, so I'm assuming she's probably sitting in a board meeting tonight as well. And I know they're in negotiations and that as well, that she does there. So we're picking and choosing the dates. Their superintendent, who I've known forever, you know, we've been working out which days to go back and forth, because obviously she's an integral part of that organization as well. So out of common professional courtesy, we don't want to rob them and set our own together as well. So.
This is another one long time coming, and it's exciting to see this come to fruition. So thank you to all the board members, Dr. Gray, Dr. Gissinger, and then definitely the committee that was involved in the process. I know that it was a little cumbersome, but I think we got a heck of a candidate and excited to bring her on board. So
I'd like to say thank you to Shelley for doing such a good job of arranging everything and making sure that it ran smoothly, because it really did go very, very well.
I agree 100%. She did a great job.
And it was a very strong pool of candidates. I mean, we were very fortunate.
Yep.
all right. Item E, renewal of contract assistant superintendent for instruction.
Next three items on the list that you'll vote on in a couple of weeks and we'll recommend the approval of is primarily the typical fashion that we renew contracts and we add a year extension to them. This doesn't have anything to do with financial or bargaining or those types of things. So it primarily is just they've received at least an effective evaluation. We're recommending to continue the employment with Brighton area schools. This one is for Ms. Mosier, first year here in the district. I personally think she's doing a wonderful job, and I'm hearing that out from the rest of the district as well. So we would recommend another year on hers, just like the BOSS administrative contracts and the renewal of the 3 administrative assistants that are listed in Peggy Bredlow, Star Ackerman, and Shelley. We'll recommend those. If you have questions prior to the next meeting, let me know. But again, this isn't, we haven't bargained these contracts. We don't bargain these contracts. They pretty much follow along with what the rest of the groups typically get. And when we get to that point where we're done with the other groups, we'll bring in their financial package. This is the extension.
Any questions, comments? All right. That hits E, F, and G. Item H, BHS National Honor Society donation, Rick Young and Associates.
Yeah, Rick Young and Associates reached out to us to see if they could lend a hand with our National Honor Society and our Gleaners Food Drive. The dollars that we collect for the food drives goes even further than the can we accept, because we can purchase the food at such a reduced rate for these types of programs that $5,000 worth of cash will probably seem like triple that amount when we actually buy the amount of food and package it and get ready for this summer and the food drives that we do throughout the year. So much appreciation to Rick Young and Associates. $5,000 is a heck of a donation, and we will make sure that that money goes a long, long ways to help feed our kids and families that might struggle.
Who is Rick Young and Associates?
That's a local company in terms of that. I don't know if they're attorneys or not. This went through the high school. We'll check before the next meeting. Insurance? Insurance.
Yeah.
Item I, resolution districts LESA election representative.
Much like you pick delegates here at this board level, LESA has to do the same thing. The only difference is they reach out to the local school boards to approve these particular delegates. The following candidates are recommended. You can see that under the rationale below to fill the 3 open seats on the LESA board. The LESA has provided the resolution designating the district representatives. So Mr. Fryer, Mr. Kaiser to the intermediate school board shall be 6-year terms. They do theirs a little differently than ours. And the term for Ms. Jankowski will be from June 30th to 2020.
We have 3 candidates for 3 seats.
That's all we have for future action.
Right. Board committee reports, board ed bulletins. We have one item on the agenda tonight, which is the discussion and second call to the public. I think everybody recalls we had made a decision at the board table. I think it originated out of one of our workshop, board retreat workshops, we eliminate the second call to the public, and we felt it was important to bring it in front of the community for transparency purposes. And so we took action on it, and then we did get a little bit of feedback shortly thereafter, taking that action, and agreed that let's give it, I don't remember if it was 3 months or something along those lines, that we would bring it back to the table and touch base on it again and see if our position is still that we eliminate, or if we believe that we should pivot and adjust as appropriate. So my framing is I have not heard anything further since we've eliminated it outside of the initial comment or two, and I would propose that we continue in our current position with the one call to the public, and that would be my recommendation. But I'm opening discussion.
I've not heard anything either. I know I was one who kind of suggested we keep it out there. Since we've given people time to respond, and we haven't really even had many first call to the publics recently. I don't see why we would bring it back, knowing that we could always bring it back.
Which is a good point, which doesn't bar us from ever reinstating it if we so choose.
Both of you on both counts.
I have actually heard a few comments from some folks that I know saying that they cannot, because of their work schedule, get here in time for first call, and second call would be the only time that they could actually stand up and share their thoughts. I don't know if that's enough to sway the rest of the board to add it back to the agenda, but I did want to share that with you.
That's fair, that comment.
Okay, please, everybody.
No. I had heard comments initially, but since then I hadn't heard any, so that was kind of what I was going with. It doesn't really matter to me at this point. If it's there, nobody's using it. What time does that take? I could go either way.
Well, I guess my perspective, I mean, from my experience on the board, the second call to the public is typically centered on something that came up at the meeting. So while I appreciate perhaps the concern that was raised by whoever sent you the comment, Ms. Reed, I would suggest that, I mean, if there's an issue that they need raised, they can certainly send an email to Dr. Gray, or I mean, as you know, we all get emails, and typically, they're always followed up upon in a very timely fashion. So, I mean, I'm not as concerned about that because there are other ways to address that, and so I would tend to agree. I mean, we can always revisit it if it becomes an issue down the road.
All right, so we will continue with current state, and if, I guess I'd leave it with the board as an open-ended, if people are hearing concerns or questions about it, then, let's talk about it, let us know, and reevaluate.
But let me ask you that, Andy, with that comment and the fact that, we as a board up here make a lot of decisions on a lot of important items and issues. And there's a formal process that we go through in order to vote on and take the action to do. This is a non-actionable item under the resolution. We as a board would agree to reinstate it or not. I guess I would hope there would be some vetting somewhere along the lines that if someone does come back and say, gee whiz, we want to hear the second call to the public, other than maybe just a couple of people or someone who's mad about something or something of that nature, that maybe we take it, maybe we don't react as suddenly as what people would think or something of that nature. All I'm trying to do is to put, other than us just reacting to a couple of comments or something like that on social media or someone come to the board about it, that we really consider the facts and maybe more than a few people that it's really bothering if a lot of people can't come and make it. I'm just trying to have some kind of understanding maybe in place of moving forward, because again, we've talked about this probably more than a lot of other topics that are probably more important. And so I'm just trying to put this so just someone doesn't get upset and now all of a sudden they come and demand and they want a second call to the public. And that we as a board maybe look at the situation and that kind of thing before we do make a decision. In a timely manner, and I'm not saying to delay it or anything else like that. All I want to do is just try to keep it under control so all of a sudden people aren't here demanding that we go to the second call. And I don't think that's going to be the case, to be honest with you. I just would like the board to consider that moving forward.
I would expect that since we've talked about it at the board table to pull that item off of our standing agenda, that we would talk about it again before it came back on.
There you go.
Agreed. And even at a workshop or retreat or something in that form, even before we.
I said a couple things.
No, I was going to talk about a committee.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep mentioning your name.
Just a reminder to everybody, we have a health, safety, and policy committee next Monday night. And I did send a note around to see if we could move it up half an hour to 5:30 instead of 6, and be done at 6:30. An actual 1 hour meeting. I'm gonna try and pull in Henry and make it just 1 hour. That's it. Next month. Next month.
That's not the safe schools.
Oh, no.
So, just a couple things. Sorry, did we land on a date for the finance committee meeting?
It's tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow night? Okay. I knew that, I had looked at the Google poll lately, I knew that there were a couple of dates and I didn't see, okay, so tomorrow. 7 o'clock. So that was one thing. The second thing, I see Mr. Thompson's here. There was, I understand he received, or was notified that he's going to be receiving an impressive accolade. I don't know if it's premature to discuss that publicly, Dr. Gray, but if it isn't, I think this would be an appropriate time.
Yeah, I was going to do something more formal next time, but it's perfect.
Well, we can do it more formal next time too.
No,
So.
let's talk a little bit about it, what we heard. But we got an email this week from Special Olympics from Dan Ekinen, or Keith Ekinen, I'm sorry. No, Dan Ekinen. And here's what he wrote, and I think it's pretty amazing. It's with great pride that Special Olympics of Michigan recognizes Athletic Director John Thompson with the Unified Champion Schools Leadership Award for the 2018-19 school year. Each year, Special Olympics Michigan recognizes a leader in the Unified Champion Schools program that exemplifies inclusion, leadership, and creating opportunities for all students within a school district. Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools bring together general education and special education students to enact change and create inclusion throughout the school community. Students come together to play inclusive unified sports, inclusive youth leadership throughout the school-wide awareness campaigns. As many of you know, Brighton High School is recognized in October of 2018 as one of the top 5 schools in the country for Unified Champion Schools. To put this accomplishment in perspective, there are more than 6,500 Unified Champion Schools nationwide. Last year, both John Thompson and Bryden Gordon, he's the athletic director at Novi High School, came together to promote Unified Basketball League play. As you may know, when schools in our conference came together varsity JV competition, they now bring Unified Basketball teams as well. We started with 6 schools just a couple of years ago, and we've expanded all the way to 40 so far. So 40 different schools have taken our lead and Novi's lead, and now it's a statewide inclusion revolution. We're pretty proud of that. We're definitely proud of John and the work he's done, as well as our teachers and mentors and kids that participate. So it's a great award for John. I think it's well deserving, and we'll more formally recognize him in a later date once we get all the hardware from it. But congratulations, John, and well done.
I didn't mean to steal the thunder.
Oh, that's okay.
The formal presentation, but I mean, it's a testament to Mr. Thompson's leadership in that amazing program. I mean, everyone is aware of how successful that program has become, and what a really just a tremendous success on all levels. And obviously, it takes a leader, a visionary like Mr. Thompson has been with that program to propel it to the heights that it's achieved, and obviously influence the growth throughout the state. And I mean, we're all aware of the national recognition, and it's important that not only Mr. Thompson but everyone in the district that's behind that receives the accolades that they deserve. So I think it's an amazing thing.
Thank you, Ryan.
Just one more, obviously the facilities committee report was earlier, I think we all know what that was. I did have a government relations committee meeting today. The one topic that was discussed longest was the governor's budget. They are, Jennifer Smith, who sits in here and watches this stuff, says there's absolutely no push to get this thing out on either side of the House or Senate, and they're hoping by July, they're thinking this might be one of those ones where we find out in October this year, unless somebody makes some change in mind and want to get them off their butts. So they're encouraging all board members, please contact your representatives if you'd like to see this thing settled before October. That's all I got for now.
So I just want to say that I went to the safe school meeting on Friday. It was Henry's last meeting, and I can't tell you how impressed I was with all the individuals that showed up, and really, they truly care about mental health, the bullying, the sexual assault, the safety of the school, kids, the parents, and I was so impressed with all the people that came together. So thank you so much. It was wonderful. I obviously have my passion come into the school board as a new member, and I think everything is beyond covered. So it's weird.
There's one other, and Dr. Gray, you may want to touch on this in a little bit more detail, and I'm assuming more forthcoming, but I was contacted by a local insurance agent, Gino Conadera, last year. He's with Farm Bureau, and Farm Bureau has a distracted driver program that they were offering. It was a competitive grant situation that we were successful in, just recently awarded. And we had the opportunity to either engage this spring or sometime at the start of next year, next school year, academic year. And so
it's my understanding, and Henry can correct me, but I think it's going to end up in the fall when we put it, because there were other people that had taken the slots in the spring already. But yeah, it was a competitive grant situation. We were able to acquire it. I think it's going to be a really good program, another really good tie to a local community business that is putting out great things to help our school system. So distracted driving, we push it a couple of times during the year, this time of year and some other times of the year, because it's epidemic. And so, yeah, I think it's going to help a ton, and I think the program sounds really cool. And I think it's another one of those really good links to a local business that I think is going to continue to propel more links to local businesses and really bring together that school community.
All I would add is thanks for Chris Nelson's time in, because he's been doing so much of it already.
Yeah,
Prior.
Chris Nelson.
And this will just help strengthen it a lot more, I think.
So if I heard you got a grant for this?
Yeah, well, you had to put in, and it was a competitive situation, schools all over, I think it was all over the country, all over the state of Michigan too. I think ours was a subsection of a bigger, piece of it. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to do it right and get the right information to them, and we're selected. So
I want to applaud you and your staff, because the amount of grants that we hear that you guys attain up here is incredible. I know those take a long time to get, so
they do take a long time.
Thank you very much for your work.
It's, found money, it's good money.
Well, and this was actually a local agent, Gino Canadera,
Yep.
who reached out to, he flagged it and came to us and said, hey, I think we have a great chance of getting this. I'd love to see Brighton area schools get this. And so he really, I think, made it happen for us, which is, and not discrediting anything that our district did, but I want to make sure that he's recognized as seeing the grant opportunity, coming from Farm Bureau and saying, hey, this is something that we should be able to get right.
Well, and I think his conversation with you kind of spurred it, and then he contacted me, and we talked for a while on the phone, and we're able to hit the pieces in the right place. So yeah, a lot of credit goes to Gino and the community as well for pointing them in the right direction.
I just sent them to you. So
Yeah.
but anyways, it's a good, it's good. I think we'll learn more about the program once some of the pieces start to flow. But I wanted to make sure the board was aware that that just recently transpired. So, all right. So our next, actually, so our next board meeting is Tuesday, May 28th, 2019, and that's a regular board meeting at 7 p.m.
I'd make a motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of discussing negotiation strategies connected with VASA, VEA, and VESPA bargaining units inasmuch as the administration has requested in closed session.
Support. Here we go. All right, let's take a 5-minute recess and roll call. Oh, yeah, that's right. We got roll calls. Thank you.
Mr. Stahl? Yes. Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell? Yes. Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Trombley?
Yes.
Mr. Birchfield?
Yes.
Dr. Kraus?
Yes.
All right, 5 minutes. Let's take a 5-minute.